Welcome to this edition of the Epic Homebrew Reveal. I'm Captain Kurt from epicbeertrips.com. Here's how this program works. I pick a beer theme, I reach out to brewers and homebrewers around the world. We collaborate virtually on ingredients and making beer related to that theme. Then we go forth, we brew beer. We get back together for the big reveal. And we share insights about the brewing process. We share our thoughts about the beer, we share a beer rating, and we share recipes. So sit back, enjoy the show, maybe have yourself a beer. Cheers.
All right, well, welcome to this episode of Epic Homebrew Reveal, and this is all about the dark mild. And we're going to talk about it and try some beer and talk about our versions and hear a little bit more about some of the trips that Kurt and Tess put together. So how's everybody doing?
Lovely. Can't wait to talk about this style of beer. Can't wait.
Yeah,
I have one left. I have one left for my batch, and I want to drink it. So that's also exciting.
There you go. That's right. I got a full keg, so I'm ready to go too.
Awesome. Well, for those who haven't joined us before, let's do quick intros.
Cool.
So with us, we have Captain Kurt from epicbeertrips.com.
Greetings.
And Caleb, our host today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Caleb Whitenack, and I have been homebrewing for 15 years now. I have Psych Brewery. I'm a psychiatrist and enjoy the science behind the beer and trying to be creative and yet also trying to make some of these traditional kind of styles as well.
Awesome. And I'm Tess. I'm a beer tripper and getting pulled in. Not a home brewer, but do have some beer with me, fortunately, for this one. So,
but you like beer.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
And excited to learn a little bit more about the style. I feel like there's a little bit of a resurgence for the English dark mild and kind of want to know a little bit more other than, what I'm tasting right now.
Yeah, which you actually found one local to you, right? And on the menu. So.
Yeah, I had to make a beer run before we went live. It worked out.
That's right. All right, well, let's talk about the dark mild. So in the BGCP, this is the style 13A or dark mild. And historically, mild just was kind of a distinction that it was unaged or not as strong, not as hoppy. So not an IPA, not a barrel-aged beer. But that was really it was a mild. It wasn't an aged beer. It was generally served on cask, so it was a lot of times very, very fresh. They served it right there in all the pubs in England. It's a low gravity session beer, typically around 3.2%, and so it's generally dark, low gravity, malt focused British style session ale that's very suited to drinking in volume, which is good. So the aroma should be low to moderate malt. So you should be smelling some sweet malt, possibly some fruitiness depending on what yeast is used. Other aromas could be caramel, toffee, very light roast, nutty is kind of what you should be smelling, and very little to no hop aroma, or it shouldn't feel very hoppy on the aroma. Appearance, it should be anywhere from copper, dark copper, brown, could even go into dark or even mahogany, kind of color, but a little bit on the reddish kind of scale, typically. The flavor should be completely malt forward, very malt forward, low bitterness, and it can have some, like I said, some fruity type esters and some hop character, but pretty mild, more on the like earthy, herbally kind of traditionally flavors. Mouthfeel should be pretty light to medium body. And that's mainly due to the low alcohol. The head retention is not great with this style, but any head that should be there should be kind of light tan. in color. So, yeah, it's a great style. I think it's gone out of favor. There for a while, mild was kind of looked down upon. The word mild in beer culture was kind of looked down upon. So they kind of took that out a lot of times. But it has, as Tess said, kind of been making a resurgence. And I think the lower alcohol beers, some of the lagers and all that you can drink in volume are really making a comeback, and it's getting hot outside. So this, even though it's a dark beer, is really nice to drink even on a hot day because it's so light.
Caleb, he told me, hey, this is what we're going to focus on in this episode, right? And I've been homebrewing now for about a year, and I love hoppy beers, and I just like something that has some decent ABV kick. And so Caleb tells me about this thing called an Epic Dark Mild, and English Dark Mild or British Dark Mild. And I'm like, so it's low ABV, and it virtually has hops, but no really distinct kind of, not going to hit you over the head with hops. I'm thinking, now what the hell could be good about this beer? So the two things happened in my life. One, I went to England on an epic beer trip, and I drank a lot of dark milds. Okay, and they were fantastic.
It's still popular at times over there, right?
Yeah, they were hard to find, but it's interesting because I drank some that were on cask, right, and then some were on kegs. But you had a Fierce Beer out of Aberdeen. They have a tap room in Manchester. They had one on tap, and I drank several one day, and then I went back and it was gone. I'm like, did I drink the whole keg? But I found the dark milds and pale milds as well. But I just found it to be a great beer, especially when you're on a beer trip, because we were drinking every day. That's what we do on an epic beer trip, and it's fun. But it's also good to kind of have that option to go a little bit lighter on the ABV side, but also still get a nice flavor. Because I found myself kind of saying, man, I'll have another one. I'll have another one of those, right? And it was really a great experience. That was the first thing. So I drank them over in England, and then I came home and I made this batch, right? And I made a 3-gallon batch. So it gave me a little over a case, and I have one left, right? A buddy came over and said, that's a really good beer, Kurt. Like he was, because I've been making home brew stuff. Again, we drink them, and some we go, yeah. But then he's like, oh, he goes, if you didn't tell me that was a home brew beer, I would not have known it. So it's a fantastic style, and I urge you, if you're a home brewer, and even if you're a brewer out there, make some of this stuff. And you'll like it, and the people who drink your beer will like it as well. So here's what I did. My beer's called the Epic Dark Mild, and that's just a common name because I think of this as kind of a common beer, right? And I don't mean that word common in a bad way, but it's a type of beer that, the guys would go into the lads would go in the pub and say, give me a dark mild, right? And my version of this, I've been home brewing for a year. I use a Brewzilla brewing system. And I do a lot of steep grains with extract. So this is a steep grain with liquid malt extract and dry malt extract. Mine came in a little bit higher on the ABV side at 4.2, but it's still light. It's still light, and it just has a nice taste to it. I use some caramel malt, wheat, black malt, and chocolate malt as far as the malt base. Steep those, and then I mixed in the extract. Again, it came in at 4.2, just a nice malty kind of sweetness in the aroma, and some sweetness, when you taste it, which I'll do that here in a second. I also use Fuggle hops for 60 minutes. In the last 30 minutes, I put in some East Kent Golding. So very traditional kind of English hops. And again, this is not a hop forward beer, but there's a little kind of spiciness going on in there, probably from the East Kent Golding. So, something's going on in there from a hop perspective, but it's very much aligned with the style. So, and I also used Omega British Ale #1 yeast. And it really, I'm looking down here to get my bottle open here. So it really turned out to be a fantastic beer. I mean, I just, I enjoy drinking it. The color on mine's a bit darker than what you typically might get, maybe because of the black malt and the chocolate malt going on in there. But, it's a bit darker. Possibly if I backed off on some of that stuff, I could get it to be a little bit lighter, and maybe backed off on some of the extract, I could get the ABV down a bit. So next batch, I'll play around with that. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I want to screw with this. It's a 4.2% ABV, as I said a few times. I'm probably outside the guidelines, but you know what? I don't think the beer guideline police are going to come knocking on my door.
I don't think anybody's coming after you. That's right. Great head retention. I think probably from the extract can help kind of hold a little bit more head.
Yeah. So again, kind of a sweet, kind of malty, smell to it. And just, some sweetness, and it's a lighter bodied beer, but it doesn't taste watered down light. You know what I mean? It's just got this nice level of, body to it. And again, there's a little spiciness. And I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably some from the East Kent Goldings, but it's not overpowering. So you get a little of the sweetness from the malt and some spiciness. It's a beautiful beer. It's
kind of a mind twist, because you see that beer and you think, I think we're just accustomed to thinking, oh, that's a heavy beer,
right.
But it's not, and it goes down so easy and nice, and that's one of the reasons I like it too. Yeah.
If I had a name, it could be I'll have another Epic Dark Mile. That could be the name, right? Because I gave one to a friend of mine who. She was like, yeah, it's hot, it's dark. And then she tried it. She said, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Right. So, do we want to rate the hop scale right now?
Absolutely. I need to know.
All right. Yeah. So I'm actually, it's a 1 to 5, very sophisticated hop scale. I'm going to give this a 4.5. I mean, I just love this beer. And I love that I brewed it. That's one thing, but I love the style. And it's not a perfect beer. But it's just a beer that I'm going to make more and more of, and just have it in my fridge at all times.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Well, I need to know if your wife weighed in on this one, because I know that she had an opinion about your last brew. So I'm curious if she's tried this one yet.
Yes, and she's the one who said that's pretty good.
Okay, awesome.
She saw dark beer, and I think that's your mind kind of plays the games with you, right? Dark beer, heavy beer. Something you wouldn't ever drink during the summer, It's not that at all. It's a very nice beer. And I'd love to be able to figure out how to construct a cask system at home. Put this on cask as well. But this is a good first step into this style. I keep putting it in front of my face because I'm going to drink it. So
that's right.
That's okay.
And
another thing, beer trips glass.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Mine will soon be filled as I talk about mine. But I think that's another thing as evidence, at Fierce, like you said, that this is a beer that's really meant to be drunk in volume, and you can. And it doesn't hang around very long. And it only takes, as far as homebrewers or, brewers are talking, it only takes you can brew it and it's in your glass in about a week and a half. To 2 weeks, and so drink it fresh, and it's great. So
yep.
Well, awesome. Let me tell you about mine. So I named mine the Epic Kiwi Mild, and no kiwis were harmed in the making of this beer. It's actually all because of the New Zealand hops is what I used, and so I kind of made a New Zealand dark mild. And it's pretty traditional malt bill. I used, instead of the chocolate malt as you did, Kurt, I actually used chocolate rye to give it a little bit more spice, a little more malt, just different kind of specialty malt character. And then for my hops, I used Motueka, Nelson Sauvin, and Rawaka. So a lot of those will give you definitely some fruit forward flavors, but then there's also, Rawaka actually was, out of Saz, more kind of noble hop, which is a little more traditional for the style. And so, it worked out well. And so mine did finish closer to style at 3.3%. One thing which you'll see right now, I'll go ahead and pour this now, is that mine actually ended up coming a little more lighter than I was hoping. And let me get a little bit more juice. There we go. So it's more like a burnt copper than a dark. And so if I was to do it over again, I would probably add a little more caramel malt. I would probably add a little bit more chocolate, maybe do a mix of both the chocolate rye and the chocolate, just a darker chocolate. I just didn't want to get too far into like roast character with it. So burnt copper. And as far as aroma, I get a lot of like toast, like toasted bread is kind of what I get off the aroma, and a little bit of roast, almost kind of like light roast, not anything like a stout or anything like that, but definitely malt. You can definitely smell malt. So cheers. So very light in body. You get kind of a little bit of fruitiness actually with some of those hops at front, but not like an IPA. And when you swallow, then you get that just kind of, I feel like the malt, lingering malt flavor, and makes you want to go back for another drink.
All right. So if we have to gauge this on the hop scale, what are you going to go with, Caleb?
So I would probably go, with a 4. Okay. And that's probably more because I'm a harsh critic of myself, and I think I could do a little bit better, get the color a little bit darker, and maybe not quite as dark as yours, Kurt.
Right.
But maybe split the difference.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. If mine could be a little bit lighter, that would be better. Yes. I
think that would be, aesthetically pleasing, kind of have that mind twist that I was talking about, and yet flavor and aroma, I'd say pretty spot on. So I'm going to go with 4 hop leaves for this one. And
that's fantastic. I probably would have given mine 4, but I'm so geeked up about this style, I gave it the extra half a hop leaf.
There you go.
And it's I'm geeked, surprised, and enlightenment, and whatever you call it. But it's worth an extra half hop leaf in my mind. So,
there you go. That's right.
Cool. Yeah, and if anyone wants to find these recipes later, they'll all be over on the website, epicbeertrips.com, and we'll put the direct link in the show notes. Everybody can see how Captain Kurt made his, how Caleb made his, and then, of course, obviously, you're welcome to riff off that. That's kind of what this is all about, bringing unique twists. Instead of it being, the English style, obviously going with the New Zealand hops is kind of cool. I hadn't heard of that before, so I like that twist. And kind of hearing how it brings those tropical fruit notes, that sounds kind of appealing to me. I like that. So you might have to rebrew this one for next time we get to meet up somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And all the hops were provided from Yakima Valley Hops, and check them out. They're I think they have the best hops for sure. So check them out. We can put a link.
We'll put that in
that as well. So
in here as well. So and also too, if there are any homebrewers out there watching this, going, man, I'd love to be on that show. I'd love to be on the Homebrew Reveal. Reach out to me, Kurt at epicbeertrips.com, or Caleb or Tess. You can, just reach out to us, and we'd love to engage more homebrewers in the brewing process and brewers. So interesting, because this is kind of a forgotten style. When we were trying to get some brewers involved, they were like, I'm just not brewing that. And, even guys over in England were telling me that. I'm like, well, you should be, right? But it's okay. Future episodes, we'll have brewers in here as well. So that's, if you're interested, let us know. We'd love to get you engaged.
Yeah, that's great. So, Kurt, you obviously just got back from your trip over to Ireland. Not only did the Dublin area, but kind of went rogue and went to Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd like to hear about how that went and give us some of the highlights.
Oh yeah, so a couple of quick things. We did the trip to England back in May, which was fantastic. You can go to our website, check out the pictures on that. We just wrapped up a trip to Scotland. One of the the tough parts of my job is I get to go do scouting adventures. So after the Scotland trip, that was a fantastic trip with 13 beer trippers, and I went to Northern Ireland. One, just because I wanted to go there, and two, I was hearing some good things about the beer scene up there, and spent a couple days in Belfast and just some fantastic craft breweries there. A newer distillery I visited called Titanic. It's actually on the site of where they built the Titanic, and and just had some great beers there. Then we journeyed over. I was with my daughter. She gets to travel with me on these adventures. We took the train to Derry. And one, we wanted to go there because we love that show, The Dairy Girls. And if you haven't ever watched that, it's on Netflix. It's a fantastic show for a couple of reasons. It's extremely funny, but it's also very real about the troubles that took place in Northern Ireland and Derry, specifically in the 90s. But found a brewery there called Walled City. And I had this oyster stout. And I had 4 of their other beers, and everyone was fantastic. And, I was talking to our server, her name was Orla, and she's like, Kurt, you have to try this. I'm like, I don't know. Something about oyster stout doesn't get me excited, but I tell you, it was the best beer I had in both countries, Ireland and Scotland. So I'm going to brew that for our next episode. More to come on that. But then we also went down to Donegal Town, Sligo, and then journeyed back to Dublin. It was such a fantastic trip. I'm going to add that trip to our 2024 Epic Beer trip. So we'll have 2 trips to Ireland next year. One will be kind of in the Republic of Ireland. One will be Northern Ireland. We'll also do Scotland, and we'll also do England. So we're really excited about the future in 2024 and just some great beer out there, but also just loads of fun. The people who are going on the trips, they're just fun people. And we have a lot of laughs and drink a lot of great beer.
Yeah, that's basically on the checklist. Are you a good time?
That's right. Yeah. If you're not into having fun, even if you love beer, but if you don't like to have fun, just stay home. So, but if you love to have fun and love great beer, Epic Beer Trips, that's right in your lane. So, love to have you join us on a trip. Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for excited for the next episode. It will be we'll have more information on that, but we're going to be doing stouts. So if you like stouts, be sure to tune in for the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like Kurt just kind of dropped that in casually.
Yeah.
By the way,
you can kind of guess what I'm brewing, right? Yeah. I have the oysters in my refrigerator as we speak, so it's going to be fun.
Awesome.
Nice. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Again, head over to the website to get the recipes, get the scoop on the upcoming trips. Right now, the 2024 trips, the priority booking list is open. All that means is you'll be the first to get dibs on the trip. For anyone else does, you'll get the scoop. No cost, no obligation. So just drop your email in there. That way you're on our list and you can join the fun.
Plus, when you sign up for the priority booking list, you get a little fun Epic Beer Trips swag pack.
Kurt's good about sending swag. I just got a postcard in the mail the other day. So
you get the swag, and again, it's just a way to get you on the list. You'll get first dibs. The trips next year will sell out, I guarantee you. So we'd hate to have you miss out on one of our Epic Beer Trips in 2024.
Awesome.
Well, cheers, guys. Cheers, everybody at home.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us.
This is all I have left.